the Yahoo News headlines here, one of the leading stories was Christian leaders are warning of Christian nationalism, which they say provides cover for white supremacy and racial subjugation. And we're hearing that over and over again now. The dangers of nationalism, Christian nationalism, white nationalism, and all these things. They're saying that this is so dangerous, and this is the most dangerous thing our society is facing today. And it's the root of all of our problems. And here's some, from this article from Yahoo News, I'll just pull out a couple quotes here. They said 19 Christian leaders from various groups, including the Network Lobby for Catholic Social Justice, Siskin. I didn't want to screw that up. Franciscan Action Network, the Episcopal Church, and Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, that's the ELCA, the Homosexual Friendly Church. I think they even have lesbian pastors. Endorsed the letter. Dozens have signed the statement in agreement. But what we're going to see, what's the common theme here, is that these aren't real Christians that are signing these things. These are leftist Christians. In fact, what's amazing, they always try to say we mix politics and religion together, when that's precisely what they are doing. They are mixing leftist, Marxist ideologies and branding it as Christianity. So they are the ones actually pushing a political agenda, while we, as Christian conservatives, are pushing a biblical agenda that happens to affect politics in a godly way. Big difference there. We're not pushing a godless... oh, here we go. Here's a video I want you guys to quick see.
I'm a Christian against Christian nationalism.
I'm a Christian against Christian nationalism.
I'm a Christian against Christian nationalism.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian against Christian nationalism.
Against Christian nationalism.
Against Christian nationalism.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
Against Christian nationalism.
Sick.
So you see there, they make it sound like they are so moral and upright because they are against Christian nationalism. Well, then what are they for? What are they actually for? They don't ever come up and make these same people, these same leftist Christians, they don't come up and make videos saying, I'm a Christian and I'm against abortion. I'm a Christian and I'm against gay marriage. I'm a Christian and I'm against adultery. I'm a Christian and I'm against this and that. They're not for anything other than for standing up for leftist, Marxist political ideologies, and they say it's Christianity. Well, Jesus warned us over and over again throughout the scriptures that there are many who say they are of Christ or they follow Christ, but they are deceivers. They're liars. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. And this is important that we address this issue because the Democrats are going to be... I have no doubt that the Democrats actually created organizations like these, probably George Soros funded, to try to deceive Christians, to try to take them away from our biblical roots and get us to believe in something else. Now, Christian nationalism, they say they're against Christian nationalism. What does that mean then? They're against things like us saying that America's a Christian nation. That's evil, right? Because that's Christian nationalism. They're against our nation's motto, in God we trust. They're against the other motto of America, or our tagline, whatever you want, one nation under God. They're against that because that would be considered Christian nationalism. In other words, what they're saying, the alternative is what they are for really is multiculturalism and diversity. And I guess you could go back in the old days, they would be like the Canaanites of the Old Testament. They are for doing whatever you want to do and having everybody mixed together and meshed together. And you can't say that Christianity is superior because that wouldn't be fair to other people and so forth. Anyways, I'll read a couple bullet points here. A group of Christian leaders have published a statement warning about what they call the threat of Christian nationalism in the U.S. They argue that Christian and American identities must remain separate to not jeopardize both U.S. democracy and their Christian faith. Now look at how deceptive that is. They're actually saying that Christian nationalism, that is, those who believe this nation is one nation under God, our laws should be founded upon biblical morality, jeopardizes the Christian faith. If that's not a lie from Satan himself, I don't know what would be. Trying to say you're for something, but you're actually against it. The other bullet here, religion has played an increasingly important role, and this is what's going to be revealing. Religion has played an increasingly important role in politics. 77% of white evangelical Christians supported President Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential election. So why is there this hatred against Christian nationalism, white Christians? It's because we stand in the way of their power of forming the beast of Revelation, that multi-headed political one-world government headed up by the Antichrist. And now they're faced with the reality that we are the enemy. We are the only obstacle in their way of forming this anti-Christian globalist utopia, which would be none other than a satanic dictatorship. Okay? I'm going to read on another thing here. Read on a little bit more. This is all from that Yahoo News article. A group of Christian leaders have put out a statement warning. Did I already read that?
No.
Okay. A group of Christian leaders have put out a statement warning others in the community about the threat of Christian nationalism. And I guarantee you're going to be hearing sermons like this in our local churches, especially the Lutheran churches and the lukewarm evangelical churches. They're going to be talking about how you can't make an idol out of America, and we have to be sensitive to other people's beliefs because that's how we draw them to Jesus. We be sensitive and come to them and compromise, basically, is what they're saying. So, arguing that Christian and American identities must remain separate to not distort both the Christian faith and America's constitutional democracy. Well, again, they obviously know nothing about the Pilgrims and the fact that they founded America as a Christian nation. And what they're... You see that old trick there? They're always trying to separate our nation from God. And these are so-called Christians that get up there with an indignant look on their face and say, I am a Christian against Christian nationalism. And we all bond together. You know, it's like, you might as well say, I am a Christian against Christianity in the Bible. I mean, that's what they're saying. It's ridiculous. Continuing on, Christian nationalism demands Christianity be privileged by state and implies that to be a good American, one must be Christian. I agree. I agree with that statement. They're saying that's bad. Well, in order to be a good American, I really do believe that the best Americans are the Christian Americans. Can we tolerate other people and stuff like that? Yeah, to a certain degree, as long as they don't tell us that Christianity is evil and we can't have Christians in America. Okay, there's a big difference between a little bit of toleration and that statement there. Anyways, it often overlaps with and provides cover for white supremacy and racial subjugation. According to the statement, we reject this damaging political ideology and invite our Christian brothers and sisters to join us in opposing this threat to our faith and to our nation. They might as well be singing the John Lennon song, Imagine the World with no heaven, no hell, and no religion. Because those are the things that are really dangerous, I guess. And these are Christians saying this? These are not Christians. In fact, what they've never read is Psalms chapter 2, verse 1, where God says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth, can't talk about that. That's political. That's dangerous. Set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. In other words, I am a Christian against Christian nationalism. No, they're not, because prophecy says that the people that want to break Christianity away from the kingdoms of the world are against Christ. They are anti-Christ. Continuing on, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon the holy hill of Zion. Now, as a true Christian, we believe that Jesus is the King of kings and Lord of lords. We don't just believe that in the four walls of our church. We believe that in all aspects of our life. Now, these Christians that are against Christian nationalism believe that you can be a Christian in the church, but how dangerous are you to take that the morality and the laws of the Bible and the teachings of Jesus out into the culture and actually have that as our standard. How dare you set up the standard of Christ in America? That's dangerous. I mean, these people are just a bunch of slippery, self-righteous, deceptive snakes when they get up there and say that. All right. God set his king on Mount Zion. He's the King of kings and Lord of lords. I will declare the decree, the Lord said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen, or the nations, for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. This is Christian nationalism. Christianity is superior to all of the ways of the pagans. And that's what Psalms chapter 2 declares. The kings and rulers of the earth would not have it that Jesus reign over them. They want to reign over themselves. They're rejecting Christ. Now check this out. Verse 9, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. And, that's... This whole Psalms chapter 2 is a declaration that Jesus is the King of the nations. He's not the king of the church. He's not the king of your little secret hideaways that people call church, where they talk about individual salvation all day and night. He's king over the world. Now, he continues on. He says, be wise now, therefore, you kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. Oh, man. That's dangerous. What Christian nationalists say is this. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry. We warn people. If we don't follow God's ways, if we want to do it according to multiculturalism and diversity, God's going to be angry. And now we're dangerous for merely quoting the Scriptures. And you perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. In God we trust. That's what brings blessings. Not multiculturalism, not diversity. And some would say, well, that was in the Old Testament. Nationalism was in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, it's all about personal salvation and you name it. Well, we find out that Jesus teaches this same concept. Jesus saith unto them, did you never read in the Scriptures? And that is something we need to be saying to all these phonies. Did you never read in the Scriptures? Because they say all these things, but none of it's backed up with Scripture. The stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Now, it's interesting. When you look at the Great Seal of the United States of America, on the reverse side, you have this pyramid with a capstone above it. There's a lot of debate whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in this case, you obviously see this is a picture of Christ as being the head of this building, right? The building is symbolic of the nation, okay? These leaders of the nation that Jesus was talking to rejected Jesus as the chief cornerstone, he who is above all. This is what they say. They call us Christian nationalists. I don't even know if I like that term. I'm just a Christian, right? I'm a Christian who believes that Jesus should be the head over everything. And those who don't believe that, what are they doing? They are the builders who reject the cornerstone. They want to build our nation without Christ. Verse 43, therefore say I unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken away from you and given to a church. Did it say that? No, it said a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. A nation where the church will reside, obviously, the congregation of the Lord. But God still deals with nations, and specifically He deals with a chosen nation that is supposed to bring forth the fruits of the kingdom. That's how it's worked. If you look at, and I'm going to get into this in our actual study here today, God has a nation to be a light and an example unto the world. A specific chosen nation. It's not a multiculturalism, equality type of thing. It is one people chosen for one purpose, and that is to bring in the kingdom of God. All right, let me see here. Psalms chapter 33, verse 1, the counsel of the Lord standeth forever. The thoughts of His heart to just, does this end when the New Testament started? No, to all generations. And check this out. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We got to erase Psalms 33 because this is Christian nationalism. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people whom He hath chosen for His own inheritance. Okay? God has a chosen people. He has a chosen nation. And we're not to apologize for that. Now, our children are constantly taught to hate our founding fathers, to apologize for our birthright, to feel guilty for our so-called privileges. And it's nothing more than an attempt to take Christ off the throne. And so on. Let me see. I think, I actually have a couple more verses. This current events message should almost be a whole study in itself, just like last week, I guess. But anyways, I really believe this is prophetic, what's happening. You know, you have this anger and hatred towards a specific people. It's not just in America, it's worldwide. I wrote on Facebook, do we go over to Asia and tell them that they are Asian supremacists because they follow Buddhism? And Buddhism is primarily a religion of that Asian people follow? Do we say you're an Asian supremacist and you need to accept multiculturalism and allow us in? No, nobody ever says that. But you can only say that against, and I know this is very unpopular, against white Christians. They're the only ones you can call a racist, a bigot. Anybody else, it doesn't matter. But when you think about it, who are the real racists? It's all these people that are telling us that white people are the problem. Isn't that a racist statement? I mean, you look at what all these liberals say. We've got liberal family members that basically point blank say white people are the problem. We need to elect people of color. That's racist? But I guess it's not if it's those evil white Christians. But this is all foretold of in the Bible, and a lot of people don't understand it because they don't understand the things that we talked about last week with the birthright of Abraham, how that was to continually be passed on to a specific line of people. Anyways, Revelation 12 verse 14, it says, "And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle." I have no doubt that this represents God covering, it's the American bird, or the American symbol, which symbolizes God covering or over us, right? His wings covering us. "That she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and a times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman." Okay? After this woman was this was a specific tribe of people. These were the Israelites of the Bible, right? That he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. "And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed." That's somebody of a biological descent, "which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." So you have this woman who represents really a race of people, the Israelites. And she has this remnant that's always there that keep the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. That's actually the identifier of where true Israel is today. It's where these people are, where this remnant is. And you wonder, why aren't there too many people that actually teach the Bible chapter by chapter and verse by verse today? It's because there's only a remnant. that are willing to do this. But they live in that nation, the nation of the woman, which I believe in the end times is no doubt America. I believe Revelation 12 is specifically talking about America being under attack. I should say traditional Americans, or the people who are descended from those who built this nation, the Pilgrims, the Europeans, Caucasians. They are under attack not because of their skin color per se, but because they've been the people that have brought Christianity to the world. And if you I'll get into this a little bit more in our actual study. So I'm gonna probably, let me see. I think I'll leave it there. I'll just sum it up real quick. The reason we're seeing all this happen, there's this attack against Christian nationalism, and then they say, well, then there's white nationalism. They try to blend everything all together. It's because there's an attack by Satan against God's people who bring the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. The true Israel of God, I could add. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? All right.
I think the reason that white America or white Christianity, we tolerate it. So that's why we shouldn't tolerate it anymore. We don't protest. We don't do marches. We don't go speak somewhere and put down other people. And we tolerate what they say about us. And I think we should be done tolerating it. That's just me.
Right. But right now, the first step is actually not being scared to tell the truth.
Right.
And people are so scared because they don't want to be called a racist. Even though we're not racist, and we're not bigots. We're going to talk about it in the study when we get into it. Christianity is an inclusive religion for all peoples of all nations.
It shouldn't be a doormat that people wipe their feet on our backs either.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's getting to be, everything's feel good instead of like what you're doing. Tell them the truth. And I wish people would understand that, and we'd have a full area here.
Right.
Listen to truth versus feel-good messages.
Well, and I think you're right, though, John. I think a lot of people actually in this area do feel the same way, but they're scared. And then you see a video like what you showed earlier where they're like, I'm a Christian and I'm against Christian nationalism. I think that just guilts these people into thinking, turning away from what they really feel. Because I feel like there are a really good, strong group of people in this area all over. I mean, this is like one of the most conservative counties in the whole country.
And that's why
they're here.
And that's why it bothers me that much more with all these good people here that are ripe to have churches in here that are peddling nonsense. Right. When you have like Jesus, when he looked out at the sheep, he mourned because the people were as sheep without a shepherd. And when I see what these churches are doing, the waste of time and not preparing people for reality, it's sad. They're robbing the people, and it's a disgrace.
The disciples weren't a bunch of sissies. Look at what Peter did when they came to arrest Jesus.
Right.
He pulled his sword.
Right.
I mean, we're not we're playing with the wooden cross without the sword on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
We need to be a little bolder.
Right. And mixed too. I mean, we obviously we want to have it be the right mixture.
I get it.
Bold and compassionate and loving. This is all done out of love. I don't want to get into it too much because this study is going to cover a lot of.
Okay. I just
want a lot of that. Yeah, I hear you. It's frustrating. It's we have a wimpy Christianity today.
Well, the way they deceive it or spin it is they take Christians and I guess white people, and because you love your country and because you love God and you think that should be number one, and then they try to throw in the, like real hate groups, like the
Yeah.
KKK and these white supremacists that are just have nothing to do with Christianity. But the minute they can sprinkle that in there over the top, now you're afraid to be in that group. Because,
Right. And some of these groups actually might have a lot of truth in there, so that it's easy for them to take what they do and put it onto us. When that's the way Satan works, anyways. A lot of truth and then a little bit of a twist to it that goes totally against what
And then
is
200
true.
years ago, some white people that we're not even related to owned slaves, but we're to blame for it. I'm not even related to any of those people. I don't even know who they were.
We've got Democrat politicians right now that are, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was the Harris lady. Was like one of those ladies. It was either Harris or Pocahontas. Said that, Elizabeth Warren they were saying that they want to have us pay reparations for slavery. And these people never experienced slavery. We never had slaves, but yet now they want us to pay for something that was long ago that we already fought a war over in part and stuff. It's just crazy. And where are the real men in America? When your people, your tribe is pushed like ours is and is demonized, there's no wonder why some of these youth do crazy things. I'm not excusing what they do, but they're pushed in a corner where they are the demon of the world. They've got nothing to live for. They've got no future because everybody hates them because of what of what lineage they came from. It's we're creating we're allowing the left to create an environment of disaster.
Overcomers is brought to you by the tithes and offerings of our listeners. If you would like to support our ministry, please go to ChristianOvercomers.com. God bless you, and thank you for your support.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible sword. His truth is marching on.